are the skills for a person to become a medical writer, what skills they want. Okay, so for that, first is clear and concise information. Now, pharmaceutical industry recognizes that it requires special skills to produce well-structured documents with clear information. Okay, so clear and concise information means just the required information which is relevant to your topic. So whenever you're writing any document, whether it is a research article, whether it is a review article, you have a certain objective for writing that document, and there is a certain purpose for writing a document, and also like any topic is provided to you, and on that topic only you will be writing a document. So for that purpose, suppose any topic, if it is related to pharmacy field, and you are asked to write that document, so that will always be facilitated if any person who is from the pharmaceutical background is writing a document. Okay, so pharmaceutical industry, they recognizes that for not only it is true for pharmaceutical industry, for every industry it is always a requirement of the employers that if a professional is from that particular background, okay, then they should be able to write a document. They'll be able to present the information in a clear and concise form, because I already know that subject. Suppose, for example, if like I'm from a pharmaceutical background, okay, so if somebody asks me to write any topic or any topic they'll give me related to pharmacy, so I'll be more comfortable in writing that document. Okay, why? Because I have already studied that particular subject, that particular topic, and I know that what I have to write in that document. Suppose, for example, if somebody gives me that I have to write any document which is totally related to some other field, like for example, it is related to dentistry, okay, which I am not much aware of it. So what happens in that case, if I accept that project, so in that case, what will happen, that I'll take the information from all the articles, because I'm not knowing that subject. I do not know that what exactly will go, okay, or what is the relevant information. So I'll collect all the information from here, from there, and then I'll just summarize that information and write in the document. So sometimes what happens, the actual topic of that document, it overshadows, or there are more and more additional information, or there's a lot of information which is not at all required. Okay, so for that purpose, so it is a requirement that when you're writing a medical writing document, because when you're writing a medical writing document, always they will give you with specified space, like there will be a word limit which is given to you, and in that word limit only you have to inculcate all the information which you have related to that document or related to that topic, sorry. So in that case, what happens, you have to take only the very relevant information. Okay, so and you have to present it in a manner that you can incorporate all and all a lot of information in a single document. Okay, so for that you have to present it in a very clear and concise information which does not lose the relevancy of the topic. Okay, then demand for well-written documents. So there is always a demand for well-written document, a demand of well-articulated document in medical science. So a demand for the articulation of medical science derived demand for well-written, standard compliant documents that medical professionals can easily and quickly read and understand. So the document, when you are writing, it should be in a simple language, it should be in an easy language. Okay, it should not be written in a very complicated manner or a very hi-fi technical terms. If it is possible, you can avoid, so that a document, when it is written, it can be quickly and readily understood by the readers. Then grant applications and specialized publications. So as I told you that what is a grant application. So medical institutions engage in translational research, and medical writers have experience offering writing support to the investigators for grant application and specialized publications. Okay, so there are various medical institutions or research organization or research institutes. They are doing the research studies, and for that they require the funding. If they have completed the research study, then they want to publish that data. So for writing the scientific manuscript for the publication and also writing the grant application, That so in that case, medical writing, they can offer their expertise to these researchers, to these scientists, so that they can help them in writing the grant application and specialized publications for them. Okay. Okay, then next we'll discuss about that requirements for becoming a medical writer. So what are the requirements for becoming a medical writer? The basic requirement for becoming a medical writer is, of course, familiarity with medical concepts and terminology. So for a person, if they are aspiring, as we have discussed earlier also, that if they are interested to become a medical writer, then of course they should be familiar with the medical concepts and medical terminologies. Another important requirement is the ability to write. As a basic requirement on the part of medical writer is to communicate scientific information to the target audience, some degree of command over the language, reflected by an ability to write grammatically correct text, and an ability to express and present information clearly and succinctly is most important. Now, as the name itself suggests that it is writing, so it is very important that the professional who is aspiring to become a medical writer, they have the ability to write. They should write a document. Like for example, like writing and presentation, they are the two different things. Okay. So writing anyone can do writing. Okay. If I'm reading something, so I can also write it. Okay. But the main thing is that how I have to present it. Okay, like when you're, suppose for example, if you're writing a research article, okay, so in that case it is not only the writing part, you have to present the data also, you have to do the data interpretation, you have to do the data analysis, you have to present that document in a particular, in a proper format, in a particular manner, so that when the readers, when they read the document, they'll be able to understand it. Because suppose for example, if I am a medical writer, I have published a document, I have published a review article for example, and readers are reading that, and that article is published, it is available in a journal, it is available on a digital platform, and somebody somewhere is search for that particular topic, and my article comes up and they start reading it. Now there are certain points which they are not understanding, so there is no way that they can connect me and they can ask me their doubts, and because there is no connection between the readers and the writers and the authors. Okay, whether they understand it, whether they don't understand it, in case if they know, if they don't understand it, then they will look for the other sources, or they will go to some they'll just skip my article, just and then they will go to the other article. So but as a medical writer, as an author, I don't want this to happen. I want my readers that whatever I have written in my article, they should understand it in the same way as I want them to. There should be no confusion, nothing. So then in that case, I have to present the information in a simple, easy, and in a way that the readers will understand. So it should not, it is not like this, that the medical writer, they should have ability to write, because anybody can write. Okay, if I'm reading something, if somebody asked me that to write whatever I have read, so I will be able to write it. But is that document is publishable? Is anybody else able to understand it? Anybody else will only able to understand that when I will present that in a particular context, when I'll write that document in a particular context, when I will write a document which is presentable, which is publishable. So rather than the medical writers, they, of course, they should have an ability to write, but most important that along with writing is that they should be able to present that document. They should be able to communicate the scientific information to the target audience in an efficient manner. Okay, and that will come when you have good command over language. Okay, when you will be able to write grammatically correct text, when you have very good when you have very good vocabulary. Okay, and you should be able to, you should have that ability when you can express or present your information in a clear manner, in a concise manner, in a relevance, and which has the relevance with the topic as well. Then an academic qualification is one of the life sciences, as such as in medicine or paramedical sciences such as pharmacy, microbiology, nutrition and dietetics, biochemistry, biotechnology, can provide the right background which makes the writer familiar with scientific concepts and research data. Okay, so the academic qualification is one that we have already discussed, that that as a medical writing professional, you should be qualified in any of the life science field. It can be in medicine, or it can be in pharmacy, it can be in microbiology, it can be in nutrition and dietetics, it can be in biochemistry, biotechnology. Okay, which gives the right background for the medical writers to enter in the field of medical writing. Not the medical writers, sorry, the professionals to enter into the field of medical writing. And also they'll make the writer familiar with the scientific concepts and the research data. They'll be able to understand the scientific concepts, the research data, because if they are postgraduate, if they have done PhD, because from their academics they have because they in their academics also they are involved in doing a project, writing a thesis, publishing a review articles, research articles. So they have the understanding that how they have to handle the research data, how they have to present the research data, and statistically analyze that data and then present it in the article. So that is the formal requirement, or the very basic requirement, which a medical writer or a professional should have to become a medical writer. Now, so these the requirements which we have just discussed are the very basic requirements which a medical writer should have. Now, what are the general knowledge and skills which are required for a person to become a medical writer? That is, first is language and grammar. So a medical writer has to communicate scientific information. In addition to understand the scientific aspects, the writer needs to present the information in a clear manner and at a level of understanding appropriate to the target audience. Okay. Now, when the medical writer, they write of course, they have to write the scientific information. So when they are writing the scientific information, they should be able to present the information in a clear and in a manner that should be understood by the readers, by the target audience. Now, the audience can be, it is not always that the audience is a particular group. Okay, there is when your content, when your document is going digitally, so there are anyone can read that article. If any article which is published, okay, which is available on a digital platform, then I can also read it, whether I'm from that background or not, but nobody can stop me from reading it. Okay, so for that purpose, there are, and of course, healthcare is for all. It is not like this that healthcare is only for the doctors, it is only for the scientists or the researchers. It is for me also. If I want to know about some disease, if I want to know about a particular disease, a treatment or a therapy, then I'll look for various articles which are published related to that disease or related to that treatment, so that I can be aware of it. Okay, but in case but I'm not from a scientific background, I'm not from a medical background, so if that article is written in a very difficult, or in a very presented in a very complicated manner, or it is written in a very highly technical language, then I am not able to understand it. I will only be able to understand it when it is written in a proper, in a simple language, if any technical term. But of course, it is a technical field, we cannot deny that we have to use the technical terms. Sometimes we are bound to use the technical terms. So in that case, there is an option that we can explain those technical terms there and then. Okay, and also when you are writing a document, of course, because you have to write all the documents in English, so you should have good command over English language, good vocabulary you should have, and then there should be no grammatical mistakes in your article. Okay, so then the article will become a well written and not only the well written but also the well presented article. Okay, so in that case, you have to work on your writing skills. Along with that, you have to work on your grammar, you have to work on your English, you have to work on your vocabulary. And how you can develop these skills, because as you are not from that field, so how those skills will develop in you, that is, this is like you can make a habit of writing. Okay, like as now from today you have started your classes, most probably in 1 month we'll be completing your classes, and then you're ready to enter in the field of medical writing, you'll be ready to work in the field of medical writing. So what you can do is, you make from today or from tomorrow, you can make it a habit of writing something, spare time of 1 or 2 hours, and write on any topic. Okay, write what you have done in a day, what you have If you have met a new person, then you can write about your experience. If you have learned something new in a day, you can, because you all are working, you are involved in doing the projects, learning new skills, so you can write about it. Or if you have read any article, or if you have read a book, so you can write about it, like just a page you can write, just a paragraph or a page. Start from a paragraph, then you can gradually increase up to 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs, then to a page, so that your writing skills will improve. You'll come up with new vocabularies, you will come up that how you have to form the sentences, how you have to write it, how you have to present a document. So it will be helpful for you, okay, to in developing your or in enhancing your writing skills. And your searching abilities will also enhance with this, which is a second point which we will be discussing now. So next is reference and literature searching. Okay, so huge amount of information is now available in the public domain. In addition to the books and medical journals, databases like Medline, PubMed, Embase, Micromedex are commonly used for sourcing material information. Now, when you're writing any article, when you're writing any document, or when you're writing any article, so you have to come up with variety of information is available. There are various sources from where you can collect the information. There are various databases, medical journals, books, and where you can search the information. So you have to make a strategy, because literature searching is a very, very, very meticulous task. When you will do the literature searching, you will see that how boring it is, but of course it is a very important part of medical writing, so you have to do that. Okay, and it requires a lot of time also, because the thing is that you don't have to only search the articles. You have to search the article first, then you have to go through those articles, and you have to extract out the information from those articles which is relevant to your topic. So sometimes it takes months to search the information, to search the article. Okay, so in that case, and then you have to convert that information in your own words, you have to summarize that information, and then only you will be able to present it in your article. So in that case, it is also a thing which will develop gradually, or you will learn that how you can do the literature searching part effectively. For that, you should have a strategy, like you should define the keywords which you can use, go through the authentic sources only. Okay, then going through the authentic sources, define the inclusion criteria beforehand for including the articles in your study. Okay, or in your document. So then you will be able to come up with the most efficient information, or the most relevant information which is related to your topic. Okay, understood. The next is interpretation and presentation of research data. Now the topic is provided to you, you have all the material to write that topic, and then you have a data. Now, when the data which is obtained from the research study, it is in the raw form. If you will write that data as such, nobody will understand it. Not even the researchers will understand it. They'll only understand it when you will interpret that data, when you will analyze that data, like statistical analysis which is done. So you can analyze that data and you can present that data in your document. So writing scientific documents involves review and interpretation of data, presentation of that data, those data in text, tables, and graphs, and developing logical discussion and conclusions so as to what the data means. Okay. So now when you're writing any document, the interpretation, when you are writing any document, any scientific document, especially the research article or the review articles, then you have to interpret the research data, and then you have to present that data in the form of a text, in the form of tables, graphs. Okay, and then when you're writing the discussion and conclusion, so on the basis of that data interpretation only, you have to give the conclusion, and you have to write the discussion and finally the conclusion, so that the readers, when they are reading it, they can understand it, that what does that data or what does that finding actually means. Okay, so nowadays there are various softwares which are available when you can convert that data in the form of a text, graphs, tables. Then if you're not very well in handling the research data, if you do not have the statistical expertise, then in that case you can just you can take help of biostatistician as well. If you're working in a company, generally they have the biostatisticians. If you're not working in a company, if you're working as a freelancer, then in that case you can be in contact with any biostatistician who can work for you. But for that you have to take permission from your client, because if you are in contact with or if a biostatistician is doing that work for you, then you have to share that data with the biostatistician as well, and which is a confidential information. So some clients are not comfortable of sharing the information with other professionals or other persons apart from you. Okay, so in that case, so it is always beneficial if you learn some statistics, like you should have an understanding of statistical terms. And then there are various softwares also nowadays available, so you do not have to do anything manually. If you can take a training of that software and all of handling the data, SaaS softwares are there who are analyzing the data. So at least you will be able to present and interpret the data, and then you will learn it when you will start working in that field. Okay. Then ethical and legal issues. So issues of concern to medical writers are giving truthful and complete information, including negative findings, following copyright laws, not indulging in plagiarism, following authorship criteria for research manuscripts, and respecting general review process. One software which I can recall is SAS, okay, statistical programmer. And there are different versions of softwares of SAS software also, which are used by the companies, and the other softwares are also available, but generally the SAS is a very frequently used software. Then ethical and legal issues. Now when you're doing medical writing, you have a lot of confidential information which is shared with you, especially when you're in the field of regulatory writing. Then there are, like, you are collecting the information from the various sources. So if you do the duplication, or if you falsify the data, if you fabricate the data or manipulate the data, or if you share that confidential information, the data or any information which is shared with you to others, and then when you are involved in medical writing, like especially in clinical research writing, then the patient information is sometimes also shared with you. So if you and which supposed to be kept confidential, you cannot reveal the identity of patients anywhere to anybody. But in case if you do that, then all these activities which will lead you in the legalities will lead you to certain legalities or penalties. Maybe you have to pay, or you will be in some legal issues infringing the copyright rules and all. So these are the things which the medical writer should understand, and like they should not involve in the practice of plagiarism. Plagiarism means like copying and pasting the information directly and not doing the citation and referencing. In case if you're taking the information somewhere, you're writing, you're doing the citation and referencing as well, but then too you have to write it in your own words. Okay. And do not be biased. Okay, like if any research study, they have certain limitations also, they have some strengths also. So whenever you're writing any article, you have to mention the strength as well as limitation of that study. Not only, it should not always be like this, that you are only focusing on the negative or positive findings. A fair balanced summary you should provide. Okay, and follow the copyright rules. Understand that what information you have to what information you can the information which is shared with you, you cannot leak that information to anyone. You cannot share that information to anyone without the permission of your client, of your sponsor. So all these things you should understand, and all these rules and regulations the medical writer should follow. So the issues for concern to medical writers are giving truthful and complete information, including negative findings, following copyright rules, not indulging in plagiarism, following authorship criteria for writing the research manuscripts, and respecting general review process. Okay. So now, apart from basic knowledge and general knowledge, it is the medical writers, it is required for them that they should have domain knowledge as well, specifically when they are willing to work in the field of regulatory writing. So domain knowledge includes medical and therapeutic area knowledge. So since the medical writers communicate scientific information related to the medical field, it is needless to say that he or she understands medical terminology and concepts. Okay, so now medical writers, they are working in the field of medical writing, okay, so they should have understanding of medical terminologies and concepts, like they should understand what is cardiology, what is neurology, what is nephrology, and different other terms as well. And apart from the medical terms and terminologies, they should have knowledge about, because they'll be generally involved in writing the research articles, review articles related to pharmaceutical field, related to new drug discovery. If they are in regulatory writing, then also they should have understanding of some pharmaceutical terms and processes as well. Then drug development process, pharmacology, and drug safety. So medical writers involved in the preparation of clinical research and regulatory documents such as clinical trial protocols, investigators brochure, clinical study reports of different phases, that is phase 1 to phase 4 of clinical trials. Efficacy and safety summaries require a thorough understanding of drug development process, the clinical research, and various guidelines related to these. Now, suppose if you're interested to work in the field of regulatory writing means when you are involved in writing the documentation which is related to um, drug approval and drug registration. And if you're involved in working in clinical research, so you will be involved in writing the documents which are related to clinical research. If you're working with some pharmaceutical or any pharmaceutical company, then so in that case, you should have an understanding of the drug development process. Means what is a process which is involved, terms and terminologies related to clinical research. You should have an understanding about the preclinical research and the pharmacological terms, and what are the different documents, what are the different guidelines which are followed for doing the clinical research process, and also for writing the documentation. And you should be able to understand the safety and efficacy summaries which requires a thorough understanding of drug development process. Various guidelines are related to drug development process, clinical trials, and for conducting the preclinical research studies as well. There are various guidelines which are followed. Some are national guidelines, some are international guidelines. So that knowledge is also important. Then pharmacological terms like pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics, formulation, route of administration, drug receptor understanding. So all that understanding you should have if you are involved, at least this is also a requirement which you are understanding or knowledge you will be requiring if you're writing the scientific documents as well, like if you're involved in scientific writing, as well as this is a mandatory requirement or understanding if you are willing to work in a regulatory environment. Then statistics. So as we have already discussed, that medical writers come across statistics when they write about clinical trials and when they write about research studies. So medical writers, they have to handle the data, the research data. They have to do the statistical analysis on that data. They have to interpret that data. So understanding of statistics is very important, at least if you're not a pro in that, but at least you should have basic understanding of statistics, the terminologies, the terms like p-values, t-values, regression analysis, confounding, and all. These all things you should understand when you are, because it will be helpful for you if you are involved in writing the scientific documents, especially when you are writing a research or a review article. Then technical guidelines. So now when we are doing medical writing, especially which is related to drug approval and drug registration purpose, so in that case, you have to follow a lot of guidelines like the ICH guidelines. So European Union, USA, and Japan, they have evolved a set of common guidelines, which is known as International Conference on Harmonization Guidelines, which are related to, and there are various other guidelines which are related to drug development and drug registration. The national authorities, like, do you know what is the name of Indian Regulatory Authority? CDSU. So now so for doing any research, clinical research, there are the CDSU, they also gives the guidelines, which is now newly introduced, that is New Drug Clinical Trial Rules 2019. Then we have ICMR guidelines also. Then we have ethical principles of Declaration of Helsinki. Then we have ICH GCP guidelines, which we have to follow while conducting the clinical research, and not only while conducting the clinical research, while doing the documentation part also, we should have an understanding of we should have an understanding of these guidelines, and these guidelines also provide you with the content and format of the documents, various documents which are written, aggregate reports, clinical research reports, documents related to clinical research. So you should have understanding of those guidelines, as well as then there are various guidelines which are followed, generally known as reporting guidelines, for writing the research manuscripts, for reporting the research manuscripts, or reporting the research articles, or writing the research articles related to the clinical research study. So those guidelines are also very important to understand. So there are various technical guidelines which are followed, at least if you cannot remember them, but at least you should have an understanding. At least should, when anyone asks you, or whenever you appear for an interview, and if they ask you, the employer, they ask you, you should not be blank at that time. You should have understanding that yes, these guidelines I know, I have read about these guidelines, and what is the purpose of that guideline, what is the objective, that also should be clear to you. So understanding of the technical guidelines is also very important. Okay, now what is the importance of medical writing? Okay, so the pharmaceutical sector has made clear recognition of the value of medical writing. Medical writing has received a lot of attention recently because it requires specialized knowledge, skill sets, and awareness of numerous scientific texts. So now the pharmaceutical sector, they have suppose like we have discussed a lot about medical writing, what is the requirement, what are the skills and all. Now there is a now I hope you all have understood that every time when we are talking about medical writing, the word pharmacy is coming. Okay, pharmaceutical is coming, because pharmaceutical, when we study about pharmaceuticals, there are various things which we study in pharmaceutical, like when we study about the drug development process, it is also related to pharmaceutical sector. The clinical research, it is also related to pharmacy, because you are doing the clinical research on the vaccines, on the drugs, on the medicines only. So and there are various pharmacological terms also, like pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics. So these are the terms which are not only related to, or which you will not only come across when you are in the regulatory writing field, but also you will have to handle these terms, or handle these like you will come across these terms if you're writing any research article, like any review article or a research article. So a pharmaceutical sector, it has played a very important role, and it is a very important role, and to making or to recognize the value of medical writing, because in the pharmacy sector only there are a lot of documentation work which is done. Still, when we have the AI and all, the documents are submitted online, and it requires a submission in hard copy as well. So these documents are written by the medical writers, they are made by the medical writers. Initially they were done by the regulatory affairs only, there is a team. Okay, and that there are no specific professionals who are working in this particular, who are working or who have expertise in this particular field only. But now, with the help of medical writers, now this process became very easy for them as well, because when medical writers, they are doing the writing part, the other professionals, they can look on the other activities also. So medical writing has received a lot of attention recently because it requires a specialized knowledge, skill sets, and awareness of numerous scientific texts. So nowadays, like medical writing is not only limited to limited to clinical research or pharmacy. There are other fields. Suppose if you're not interested to work in that, if you're interested to work like you can have your own blog also. You can work from some other companies which have their blog, and you can simply write the articles for blogging. You can enter into the field of news writing, like medical news writing. Then you can enter into the field of simply writing the content for websites and all. So these are also the platforms or options which are available to you, where you can work. But yes, of course, when you are working as a medical writer, or for that the professional, they requires a specialized knowledge, a particular skill set and awareness of different documents, different guidelines, so that they can bring up, or they can be a helping hand in writing a document, and which brings more visibility to the document, because you're using your all time is going in writing a document. You're using all your expertise, your knowledge in writing that document. You're verifying the information also. You're making, then your responsibility is to make that information evident. No incorrect, untrue information should go to the readers. So that also you will, so the medical writers have understanding also that how they have to do the quality assessment of the data, or quality assessment of the research, which they are, of research articles or the literature which they are finding, or which they are searching from different databases. Then it has been acknowledged that the demand of thorough and well-structured medical writing is growing, and that this field will soon be responsible for providing patients and medical professionals with higher level information. So now, as you can see that if some patient, if they suffer from a disease, so they first go on internet to search about it, like what is that disease, how complicated it is, or what complications can it bring, what are the treatments available, what are the symptoms, what are the treatments which are available, where, what should I do, and how I can be prevented further. So all, then suppose, so this is about a disease. Suppose, for example, if I want to lose some weight and I want to go on a diet, then there are n number of articles which are available, which which I can follow, or like which article, which particular diet should I follow, what are the important tests, and which should I go through, or which should I go through, like blood test and all, to start dieting, and whom should I contact if I want to start, what are the procedures, what food should I avoid, what are the what is the calorie counter, everything you can do. So how is it possible? Because there are a lot of documents which are nowadays published, nowadays written, just to help the patients, the consumers, the medical professionals, and everyone by these articles, so that everyone should be aware of the health, aware of the diseases, treatments, and different other processes also. Then the daily dissemination of news based on research, the documentation of medical breakthroughs, and thorough information are all duties that fall under the purview of medical writers. Like dissemination means circulating the information or the news which is based on research articles, the any new like medical breakthrough, any new findings. All these information are circulated by the medical writers only, because all these documents are written by the medical writers. So now the main goal of the medical writer is what they should, but of course, when you are writing documents, when you're presenting the information, there are a lot of responsibilities which a medical writer should fulfill. So the goal of medical writer is to provide the guidance on the information to the general public, so that they get good care of themselves, and they can take good care of themselves, their friends, their family, their health in a best possible ways.